Hello, this is Evan here from the Trade Risk on Wednesday, August 26th. We are intraday right now, and this is our weekly swing trade ideas video where we highlight stocks based on specific technical trade setups, which we'll walk through in just a moment. As always, these videos are sponsored by our partners over at Investors Business Daily. We curate ideas from their stock lists. You can get access to their stock lists with a link in the description of this video. So we are looking at four or five different scans today. And to sort of remind everyone on sort of the format here, you can see some of the scans are running on the left side of my screen. I'm recording this intraday, so you're going to probably see some names pop in there and change as we go through this video. I've already pulled out some of the more interesting setups. All of these scans are available on our website. We'll link that up so you can learn more, you can download, you can purchase. Some of the scans are free, and the universe we are scanning from is a combination of our TR150 watch list and IBD's watch lists. That is sort of the exclusive universe for the long ideas. So let's jump into it. Let's start with some momentum names. The first name here is WDAY. This is showing up on top left here, our 52-week highs on volume scan. So you can see clearly here, first off, bottom right, if you take a look at the volume, you can see, again, recording this intraday, we're already pretty much running at 200% volume versus the 21-day moving average of volume. So big breakout here, gap up, heavy volume, looks pretty good for continuation. In fact, it's not at all-time highs yet. It's getting certainly close to them, and I wouldn't be surprised to see all-time highs retested in the coming days or weeks. So WDAY, that's the first name there on just a momentum breakout setup. I want to bring our attention to the bottom left scan here, just our bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. So this is just a single bar candlestick pattern. I always like to keep these in mind here because sometimes they occur at specific and interesting points. I don't like to trade personally every time I see a bullish engulfing bar. Lots of them are kind of meaningless in my opinion, but sometimes they're interesting. TW I think is actually pretty interesting. I know this is well, obviously this is on one of our watch lists here, TW, so I like the name implicitly, and you can see here that it's trying to kind of bottom out. Take a look at the volume recently. You can see you've had some good accumulation of volume over the past, off this thrust of lows here, basically 2 weeks ago. Volume dried up during consolidation, and now it's starting to get going here. So TW, I think that one's kind of interesting there on the long side. Now, I want to bring our attention to our pullback scans, and I want to pull out a few of these names. So these scans here are the highest level, easiest way to understand it, are sort of like bull flag patterns. We're not specifically, looking at bull flags, but that's essentially what they resemble here. And again, if you are interested in seeing a tutorial video or more examples of any of these scans, you can head to our website. So KL, this one here, again, you can see just a nice move up throughout the past couple of months, and now it is starting to pull back, kind of flag out right here. This is a gold miner. So let's keep that in mind as we go to our next name, GOLD. So another gold miner, very similar pattern here, broke out to new highs. It's had a strong run over the past couple of months, and now you can see it's pulling back here and it's starting to work itself higher. If we look at OR, we've got another gold miner here. So OR, very similar pattern, broke out to new highs in July. It's pulled back and starting to get going here, breaking out the prior cluster of highs. So I always think this is interesting here, running a specific scan, but then getting basically a theme back in terms of the stocks that are showing up. So again, these are short-term patterns, but it wouldn't surprise me to see some rotation into these types of gold names here in the coming days. Of course, all patterns have a chance of failing, so let's keep that in mind, but I do think it's interesting. PRTS Here is another one that is showing up on, I think, a couple of our scans, but it is hitting our pullback strength scan. So again, you can see kind of a move to highs recently. It's had a very strong run. It's got a nice tight consolidation. I think it's showing up in some of those scans. And then as it pulls back, it's starting to lift back up here and, getting ready to attack those highs. So that actually rounds out some of the bullish ideas I wanted to sort of point out today. If we go to some of the bearish ideas, one name in particular, PUMP. Actually, let me switch over to our bearish scans tab. So you can see there's actually lots of names coming back on our scans. I just pulled out basically a couple here that I wanted to mention. So PUMP, this is showing up on our gap up and week close. So of course we're not at the close of the day, but gap up and weak current trading price. And essentially you can see here you got kind of almost like a bear flag going too, where it has made this leg lower here throughout August. It's rallied a couple of days, gapped up into some overhead supply here, and then it's starting to look like it could roll back over, but we'll see how that one plays out. There is a lot more here. We're not going to go through all those. What I did want to bring our attention to is a new indicator that we released this week, which is our momentum divergence scan. And I want to actually not a scan, it's an indicator. But I pulled out a couple of them, and this is what it looks like. So this is essentially looking at momentum divergence, in this case negative momentum divergence between MACD, so our MACD oscillator at the bottom, and what price is doing itself. And so what you'll notice is you can see the MACD. I've printed this in this white. I put the price series white and the divergence in red, just so you can clearly see where this indicator is highlighting the divergence. And you can see sometimes it's early, but it generally picks some pretty good spots here. So you can see it started warning of divergence here for Microsoft for a couple of days. This is back in early June. And you can see it ultimately got a couple of day pullback, worked off that divergence, and then it ran higher, started to diverge again. It pulled back a couple of days, cleared up the divergence, then it rallied, then it had this divergence here that caused it to go sideways and then pull back. And now you can see as this starts to move back up to highs, we're starting to get that divergence again. So again, divergence by itself, probably not enough of a trading signal. And again, this is in a strong uptrend, so caution certainly advised. But I think it's just an interesting kind of little case study here of what's going on. The other one I wanted to point out here for divergence was CRWD. So this one here, again, in the software space, it is in an uptrend. So again, there are certain risks here, and it is counter trend. So you have to keep that in mind. These are more short-term opportunities, I'd say. If you take a look here at the divergence, you can see you get some nice signals over here, which ultimately led to a pullback. Same thing up here as it started to rally, led to a pullback. It's getting back up to these levels up here again. Will it lead to a pullback? I'm not sure, but history here has been on good side of this indicator. So I think it's an interesting one to keep an eye on, and these setups in general, especially when you can get the divergence combined with a specific scan like we just looked at. I think that's when you get the more powerful sort of setup. So that's what I got for you today. A couple of different looks there on the bull side, the bear side. Got some different scans and indicators that we looked at as well. So hopefully find something interesting. Again, do your homework on all of these names. These are technical patterns, right? And these aren't full-on trading systems, because ultimately I'll always get the question of, where do I place my stop? Where do I get out? How many shares do I purchase? I cannot answer those things for you. These are just tools which you then have to make sure fit what you're doing, and you have to sort of build the strategy around. So hopefully that makes sense. Thanks as always for tuning in. Every Wednesday we do trade ideas just like this. We'll be back on Friday for the long form market recap video. Hope to see you there.